This is Mr. A. I'm a teaching artist at Waters Elementary, and this video is a part of Chicago Arts Partnerships and Education's online learning program. And this is the second video in my little series about creative response. And last week we met with Anya Smolnikova, a painter here in Chicago, and talked a little bit about her painting practice of painting Lake Michigan every morning. And her studio is right next to the lake, and how she's had to change and respond to changing ecology and the coastline, and how that's shifted and how that's affected her work. And you saw that we ended last week with Anya and I harvesting some lake water from Lake Michigan. And if you follow me into the kitchen, I have this little setup right here. And this is lake water from Lake Michigan. This is all-purpose flour. Here's a little bit of salt. And this is a little bit of yeast. And I'm going to show you a really, really easy way to bake bread that you could do by yourself, but probably with a little bit of help from an adult when it gets to baking time, because the temperature is so hot. But this is going to be my response to Anya's work and lake paintings. And so I will take you through it in one moment. And literally, we're just going to mix this all together. You can use your hands, it's really fun. You can use a wooden spoon, but actually, something that I want to test is I happen to have some seaweed, actually, and I think this might be kind of fun to put some seaweed, some like algae seaweed for flavoring in this loaf, just a little bit, and we'll see what we get. I've never done that before, but it'll definitely give it some nice salty brininess, which definitely reminds me of the things that kind of, if you're swimming in the lake, that kind of grab your grab your feet. And then that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more seaweed, actually. Hope I don't go overboard with the seaweed. Oh, I might have, but we'll see. And again, I'm not entirely sure I'm going to eat this. This is actually more of an art response, but we will see. I think I should do a little research first about that. I know the water isn't the cleanest, but I thought this would be still interesting. So, and I also know that we're all doing a lot more cooking. I might get a spoon, actually. And there's so many artists who work with food, especially bread, actually. There's a lot of famous performances that have involved bread. One of them is by an artist who I love called Kate Gilmore, who broke her way through a wall in an art gallery and baked pieces of the wall into a loaf of bread that she served at the opening. And there we go. That's about ready to just sit. And this is actually going to sit for 12 hours, 12 to 18 hours. And that's it. And then we're going to be ready to bake. So it's been 12 hours. So much has happened. I got a haircut. Unbelievable. And here is our Lake Michigan bread, 13 hours later, bubbling really nicely. It's more than double the size that it was before. This is very, very good. And it has to rise one more time, but here's what you do. You have your surface, and you want to just lightly flour it, very lightly, because you don't want it to take on too much flour, otherwise it'll get too tough. That's almost too much. And then I flour my hands a little bit, like this, so that the dough doesn't stick to me. And then I'm just gonna really quickly, and see how it's in the strands here? That means that the gluten's developed and it's really, really ready. And it's deflating right away. It smells like seaweed in like a really good way. Because remember we put that edible seaweed in there before. And this is gonna be a very fast operation here. So I am making like a little envelope. So I'm pulling it out. Oh yeah, it's ready. And I'm folding in the sides like this, making like left, right, back, center. And now we have this little ball. And it's pretty much ready. And I'm going to take this towel here. This is where it's going to rise. And because this dough is so sticky, I'm putting a little bit of flour on the actual towel here. And I'm putting this seam side down like that, and bam! There she is. And see how it's deflated? It was so huge before and now it's like half the size. I'm excited about this. I think it's gonna be really good. And so I will see you in about an hour when this rises again and doubles. And that's how we know it's gonna be time to put it in the oven after I preheat the oven with the pot. So I'll see you then. So it's been about an hour and a half, and now the dough is pretty much doubled. And it's spreading out here, and if you put your finger into it, it should spring back a little bit, but still hold an indentation. That's how you know it's perfect. And so in the meantime, the oven has been heating on 475, very hot. And I have a big iron, heavy pot. You need like an iron pot in there, already hot. And this is where you really need to have, if you try this recipe at home, this is where you need an adult to do it, because it's super hot. So I take out the pot. It's steaming, that's how hot it is. And I'm just gonna spray it really quickly. You don't have to do this, but this like helps. And I'm putting some cornmeal in it to keep it from sticking, and also will give it a really nice color. And then you literally take your bread like this, and you really carefully approach the pot like that. And then I'm gonna go like that. And then I can already smell it cooking. And you can totally shake it until it's fine. And I'm just gonna put this right back with the lid on. Put it back in here for about a half an hour. And then I'm gonna take off the lid for 15 minutes so it gets a nice crust. And the reason why I put the lid on is that it's gonna make so much steam and it's gonna make it rise very fast and have a really good crust. So I'm excited to see what our lake bread turns out like. So it's been in the oven for about 45 minutes, and I took the lid off after half an hour, and it's done. So here we go. It's very hot. Ooh! And here she is. She rose a lot. It looks really good. It's gonna be really hard not to eat it. So I'm going to, let's see, actually, these are just some cooling racks, but you can really use anything for this. And what I'm gonna do is flip it out really carefully because that pan is so hot. And put it here to cool. And we're gonna wait before we dig into this, or at least cut it open and see what it looks like on the inside. But this is here an edible response to Anya Smolnikova's lake paintings right here. So. And this is the next day. I have transported the loaf, the lake loaf, back up to Anya's home studio, lakeside. And here is Anya receiving it, the response, and she is going to cut into it and we're gonna see how it turned out. Oh, that's crusty. Crusty Lake Michigan. Oh. Oh dear. The moment of truth. Oh my goodness. Look at that.
She's a beauty.
She's a beauty. So, thank you for watching from Anya, myself, and this beautiful rainbow over Lake Michigan. You can find more videos on capechicago.tumblr.com and capechicago.org. And meanwhile, Anya and I have left a prompt for you below in the description to respond to this. Thank you so much and see you next time.
Have fun. Bye.
Bye.